There's a little known strategy that several top classic Tetris players, including some of the world champions, have used to gain a competitive edge. To explain how the strategy is possible, here's some brief context. Competitive NES Tetris matches are traditionally played between two competitors, each on separate carts and consoles. The goal is to get a higher score than your opponent by arranging the pieces to get as many Tetrises as possible before topping out, but because the sequences of pieces are being generated by each console during the game, this means that the players are going to be getting different piece sequences. The majority of the time, this doesn't make a noticeable difference, but sometimes it creates situations that are blatantly unfair, such as this game between Jeff and Quaid at the Desert Qualifiers. Quaid was getting enormous line piece droughts that Jeff was not, which resulted in Quaid topping out early and losing the game. The eventual solution to this at the World Championships was to create a modded version of the game with 1,000 predetermined piece sequences. Before each game, dice would be rolled to determine which sequence would be used, and both players would enter the number of the sequence, and voila, both players are getting the same pieces. Now, situations with line piece droughts are more fair, such as this game where Svavar got an enormous drought to end his game, but Jeff also got the same drought that ended his game, and the outcome was determined by who scored more before the drought. But there's an unintended side effect of doing matches with same piece sequences, which is that if your opponent is ahead of you in the piece sequence, you can figure out which pieces are coming in the future by checking your opponent's board. Which is huge, because in modern versions of Tetris, you get a preview of the next several pieces all at once, and one of the biggest limitations of NES Tetris is that you only get to see one piece ahead in the next box. So how would you go about taking advantage of this? Well, here's one method that the two-time world champion Joseph Saley tried in this game versus Ben Mullen in the 2019 World Championships. The first piece of the game doesn't fall for a few seconds unless you push it down. Normally, most players know pretty quickly where they want to place it and just push it down right away, but Joseph doesn't. He waits for Ben Mullen to push it down first and get one piece ahead of Joseph in the piece sequence. And then Joseph looks over for every piece Ben Mullen gets to be able to see two pieces ahead in the sequence instead of just one. Now, there's a couple obvious downsides to this strategy. It's pretty cumbersome to have to look over for every single piece, and eventually Joseph misdrops a piece and gives up on doing it for the rest of the game. And also, of course, it would be extremely difficult to remain only one piece behind someone for an extended amount of time, because stack height and line clear delays affect how fast the game goes, so you can pretty quickly get out of sync. Joseph didn't gain any real advantage by doing this. It seems like it was just mainly for the memes. But there's a much better way to do this strategy, and the 2020 world champion Dog talked about it briefly in his post-game interview after winning the finals.
I have never seen such creative classic Tetris play. Just the way that you position the boards and how you get out of sticky situations. Like, what do you credit that to?
One thing that was really important was after I went 2-0, I actually started looking at Andy's drought counter, which is I'm not sure if that's cheating or something, but I was sort of using his drought counter as, thinking of what I should do. If I see his drought counter just keeps continuing, then I'm going to burn down. But if his drought counter is just stopped and just latch a Tetris, then I'm just gonna get the Tetris without having to burn anything, because I know that I will get the Tetris.
Dog says he isn't sure if it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating. I think it's a prime example of playing smarter, not harder. All right, I'm gonna see if I can pull off Dog's exact strategy in a ranked game in Classic Score Attack on Tetris Effect Connected, which is based on NES Tetris and also uses same piece sets. I need my opponent to be just a little bit ahead in the sequence, so the fact that they have a higher stack than me is good. I know a long bar's coming, so I can do zero burn strats. Let's go, zero burn strats. I know the long bar's coming. There it is, perfect. All right, so we just got another long bar, so I should be able to stack really aggressively here. I know a long bar is coming. I know I'm gonna get bailed. I know it's coming. There it is, perfect. There's the long bar. Oh no, and it looks like he's about to top out. All right, secured the victory. GG's Tetrium TTV. I think that was a pretty good example of it working to perfection. This strategy is easier to pull off when your opponent's board is visible in real time right there on the screen, like in Classic Score Attack or Max Out Club, but it's very possible to use it even if you have no direct way of looking at your opponent's board, like in the 2022 Vegas qualifier. You just listen to the Tetris sound effect from your opponent's screen, or you listen to the commentator. This is a legitimate strategy that not just Dog, but several of the top players players in the scene have been using. And it's very relevant to a current debate going on in the community right now about what the rules should be for competition. Because in the past, the only time people would ever be playing with same piece sets was during the World Championships, since the modified ROM was not available to the public. But recently, several third-party mods have been introduced that allow people to play with same piece sequences from home, the most common being Kurjava's Tetris Gym. The current rules for tournaments like Classic Tetris Monthly are that if both players have a mod that can do same piece sets, they are allowed to play with same piece sets, but it's not a requirement. One player can reject the option to do same piece sets if they want to. As an example, interestingly, in the recent Mega Masters event finals between Dog and Fractal, Fractal offered to do same piece sets for the match, but Dog actually rejected it. So the debate is, should same piece sets be a requirement? Or at least a requirement if it's possible for the player. Because same piece sets on the surface do make matches more fair, but they also introduce this alternate strategy to the game. If both players are savvy to this strategy, games could even become a battle where both players are trying to avoid getting ahead in the sequence and giving their opponent an advantage. So my question for you guys in the comments is, what do you think? I'm genuinely curious, does this strategy enhance or detract from Classic Tetris matches? Or if it detracts, is it worth it as a trade-off for not having matches with unfair pieces? Personally, I'm not completely sure, but there's a part of me that kind of likes it. I think it's a very intriguing wrinkle to add to competitive strategy, and I'd be fascinated to see how it would develop as the scene progresses. Thanks for watching. If you missed my last video about the strategy behind the first ever Hatris World Championships, you can click right here to watch it.